At my wedding, my sister tossed her drink at me and slurred, "Here's to the family bride in white," like she'd just cracked the funniest joke in history. My mom rushed over, patting her arm and saying, "She didn't mean it," as if that erased the stain on my dress. I didn't respond. That night, I froze the shared bank account. But at 8:40 a.m., they got the real news. The university had withdrawn her enrollment because her payment failed. My mom called screaming, posting from a throwaway because some family lurks my main account. Names changed except for immediate family. This is stupidly long, but trust me, every single detail matters for understanding what comes next. Grab some popcorn. I, 30 male. And before you ask, no, I'm not some tech bro or finance guy making six figures. I'm a controls technician for a commercial HVAC contractor in Ohio. I do the electrical work on big systems, schools, hospitals, office buildings, shopping centers. It's honest blue-collar work that requires actual skill and certification, and I'm genuinely good at it. I run a small crew of 3 guys, work 55 to 60-hour weeks during summer when all the schools need their systems overhauled before fall semester. Not rich by any stretch, but I'm methodical about money in a way that apparently makes me the family bank. I paid off my 2013 Tacoma 3 years early by throwing every bonus and overtime check at it. Bought a small 2-bedroom townhouse at a 3.2% rate back when that was possible. Yeah, I know, humble brag. Hit the gym 3 times a week religiously at 5 a.m. before work. Maintained a boring but solid 6-month emergency fund that I never touched. I'm the guy who actually reads the terms and conditions, understands compound interest, and gets excited about high-yield savings accounts. I know how this sounds. My family situation is complicated, doesn't begin to cover it. Mom, Marla, 58 female, operates purely on emotions and guilt. Everything is a crisis. Every disagreement is a personal attack. And every boundary is a betrayal. She's the kind of person who calls crying about something that happened 3 years ago and expects you to drop everything to manage her feelings. Dad, Dane, 61 male, is the classic strong silent type who bottles everything up until he explodes like a pressure cooker. He'll be quiet for months, then unleash this verbal nuclear bomb over something minor like leaving a dish in the sink. Then he goes back to pretending nothing happened. And then there's my sister Alina, 27 female. Alina is what happens when you give someone just enough intelligence to be dangerous, but not enough wisdom to use it responsibly. She's got this natural charisma that works on everyone except people who know her well. She majored in brand strategy and events at Mid-State University, which as far as I can tell means she learned how to make Instagram posts look professional and throw parties that other people pay for. She works bottle service at upscale venues downtown, but only when her class schedule gets overwhelming. Her word, not mine. This happens roughly every other month. She has this incredible talent for collecting what she calls mentors, usually guys 10 to 15 years older who give her business opportunities and networking experiences that look suspiciously like expensive vacations to Miami and Vegas. But here's where I become the villain in my own story. I enabled every single bit of this nonsense. Since early 2021, we'd maintained a shared checking account that was supposed to be strictly for emergency family stuff. You know, medical bills, car breakdowns, genuine crisis situations. The reality? It became my monthly tribute to keeping Alina's lifestyle functional. Rent gaps when her roommates moved out unexpectedly. Medical copays when she decided she needed elective procedures. Lab fees for STD testing after questionable decisions. Textbook rentals that somehow cost $800 per semester. Car repairs for vehicles she couldn't afford to maintain. Parking tickets in downtown areas she had no business being in. Overdraft fees because budgeting is too stressful for her. I tracked everything because I'm obsessive like that, and it averaged $1,000 to $1,400 per month from my account. Always. But wait, there's more. I sound like an infomercial for financial stupidity. I added her as an authorized user on one of my credit cards to help build her credit. $5,000 limit, and she treated it like free money from the universe. Online shopping, restaurant bills for groups of friends, spa treatments, concert tickets, you name it. I put her on my health insurance plan through work just for 1 year because she aged out of mom and dad's coverage. That 1 year somehow became 2 years running, with me paying the additional $268 per month while she went to urgent care for every minor inconvenience. I co-signed her campus housing lease when she almost got evicted for hosting parties that resulted in noise complaints and property damage. I co-signed a car loan when she totaled her previous vehicle while driving uninsured to some party in Columbus. I even wrote reference letters for scholarship applications, helped her move apartments 4 times, and spent countless weekends assembling furniture and fixing things she'd broken. I know exactly how this sounds. I know what you're thinking. Save the lectures. I've given them to myself every night for 2 years. I thought I was being a good big brother. I thought I was doing what family does. I thought that if I just supported her long enough, she'd eventually get her act together and become a functional adult. I thought wrong. I met Jules, 29 female, at a supply warehouse in the most ridiculous way possible. We were both reaching for the last Nest thermostat in stock, and instead of doing the polite, "Oh, you take it" dance, we ended up in this heated discussion about HVAC efficiency ratings. She knew more about heating systems than most of my coworkers. Turns out she's a dental hygienist who grew up in a family of contractors. She's got this incredible ability to stay calm under pressure, zero tolerance for unnecessary drama, and this way of diffusing tense situations with a single look. She's also beautiful in that understated way that doesn't require constant maintenance or validation. We clicked immediately. Like, scary immediately. When we started talking about marriage after 8 months of dating, I had exactly one non-negotiable requirement. Whatever we did for the wedding had to be drama-free. Jules deserved a perfect day, and I was determined to make that happen. We planned something simple but nice. Friday evening ceremony because it's cheaper and less formal. 120 people, mostly close friends and family. Warehouse venue with string lights everywhere because Jules loves that rustic romantic aesthetic. Taco bar instead of fancy plated dinner, because who doesn't love tacos? DJ who specialized in 90s hits because we're both children of that era. Nothing pretentious, nothing complicated, nothing that could be easily sabotaged. Just us, our people, good food, and good music. I should have known Alina would find a way to make it about her anyway. The red flag started early. During the planning phase, Alina kept making suggestions that would have fundamentally changed our entire concept. She wanted us to upgrade to a proper venue with a ballroom. She thought we needed a 5-course meal instead of casual food. She insisted we hire a wedding planner because details matter for photos. Every suggestion came with the same refrain. I know someone who can help, or my mentor knows a guy. Always followed by implied criticism of our choices. When Jules picked her bridesmaids, 3 close friends, simple navy dresses, Alina made passive-aggressive comments about the color choice, the dress style, and the fact that she wasn't automatically included in the wedding party. We deliberately kept it small and chose people who actually supported our relationship. 2 weeks before the wedding, Alina started posting cryptic Instagram stories. Photos of white dresses with captions like, "Sometimes you have to make your own spotlight," and "Not everyone appreciates authentic family love." The kind of posts that seem innocent if you don't know the context but feel threatening when you do. Jules noticed first. She screenshot a few and sent them to me with a single question mark. I told her I'd handle it. My conversation with Alina was brief. "Don't wear white to my wedding." "I would never do something that tacky, David." "God." "Good. Just making sure we're clear." "I'm insulted you'd even think that." Famous last words. The ceremony itself goes absolutely perfectly. People are actually smiling. Not that forced wedding smile, but genuine happiness. Jules looks incredible in this simple but elegant dress that cost about 1/10 of what Alina spends on her monthly skincare routine. I managed not to cry during my vows, though it's close. For the first time in months, I can actually breathe without worrying about what crisis I'll need to handle next. The cocktail hour flows smoothly. People are mingling, the photographers are getting great shots, and Jules is glowing in that way that makes my chest feel tight with gratitude. Her parents are charming everyone. My parents are on their best behavior. Even the weather cooperated. Perfect October evening, not too hot, not too cold. Then Alina arrives. 30 minutes late, because of course she is, and she's wearing a floor-length white dress. Not off-white, not cream, not technically it's ivory. Bright, unmistakable wedding white with a backless design, flowing sleeves, and this weird veil-like attachment that she clearly found on some How to Upstage the Bride blog. She doesn't sneak in quietly or try to minimize attention. She does this deliberate pageant turn at the entrance, making sure everyone notices her grand arrival. The room actually goes quiet for about 5 seconds. That awkward silence where everyone's brain is processing what they're seeing and trying to figure out if they're imagining things. Someone at my table, my buddy Marcus from work, whispers, "Dude, what the hell?" I force my face into a neutral expression and do the mannequin wave. Jules squeezes my hand hard enough to cut off circulation, and I can practically hear her thinking, "Don't feed the beast." We push through the next hour. I dance with Mom to some sappy song she picked. Jules dances with her dad to The Way You Look Tonight. I'm drinking water like it's my job because I need to stay sharp and in control. The taco bar is a huge hit. People are laughing, kids are running around safely, and the photographers are capturing all the right moments. For maybe 20 minutes, it feels normal again. Like maybe Alina's fashion choice was just a weird coincidence, and she'll behave like a normal human being for the rest of the evening. Then the appetizer course happens. The venue had set up a small station with fancy finger foods for people who wanted something before the main taco service started. Nothing elaborate, just some pasta salad, bruschetta, and a few other small plates. Alina decides she needs to make a speech. She stands up from her table, holding this plate of pasta marinara, and raises it like she's making a toast. She's positioned herself perfectly. Center of the room, maximum visibility, right in front of the head table where Jules and I are sitting. The DJ actually turns down the music because he thinks official speech time is starting. "I'd like to say something," Alina announces, loud enough for every person in the venue to hear clearly. The room goes quiet. Jules goes rigid next to me. "Here's to my brother, the family manipulator in white." She emphasizes manipulator like she's been practicing it. Half the room hears it clearly. The other half hears something that definitely sounds bad even if they can't make out the exact word. And then she throws the entire plate. Not at Jules, thank God. At me. Direct chest shot. The marinara sauce explodes across my white shirt, vest, jacket, and tie like a crime scene. The ceramic plate hits my chest first, then crashes to the floor and shatters into a dozen pieces. Chunks of pasta slide down my vest and onto my lap. The smell of tomatoes, garlic, and oregano hits me like a physical slap. The room goes completely dead silent, except for this one little kid who starts crying because the loud crash scared him. I'm standing there, dripping red sauce, staring at my sister who looks absolutely triumphant, like she just scored the winning goal in some game I didn't know we were playing. The sauce is spreading across the white tablecloth. I can feel it soaking through my shirt to my skin. Everyone is staring, some with their mouths literally hanging open, others looking back and forth between us, like they're watching a tennis match. Mom rushes over to Alina immediately. Not to me, not to help clean up the mess, but to Alina, and starts whispering urgently. "She didn't mean it. She's just emotional. You know how stressful weddings are." That might be the funniest sentence anyone's ever spoken in human history. Alina always means it. She's a heat-seeking missile of calculated petty revenge, and she never misses her intended target. Jules stands up slowly, grabs some napkins, and starts helping me clean marinara sauce off my jacket. She doesn't say a word, but I can see the fury in her eyes. Not at me, at the situation, at Alina, at the fact that our wedding just became a spectacle. I excuse myself, walk calmly to the bathroom, and spend 10 minutes scrubbing tomato sauce out of my shirt and tie with hand soap and paper towels. I change into the backup white dress shirt I'd brought in case I sweated through the first one during the ceremony. It doesn't match the vest perfectly, but it's clean. When I come back out, the venue staff has cleaned up the broken plate and the worst of the sauce from the floor and table. Someone, probably Jules's mom, has moved people around so there's not a gaping hole in the seating arrangement. I finished the night smiling and dancing because Jules deserved her perfect pictures and her magical memories. But something fundamental shifted in my brain during those 10 minutes in the bathroom. I was done being the family dumping ground. After we got home around midnight, Jules crashed immediately with this exhausted smile that kind of broke my heart. She'd handled everything with grace and diplomacy, but I could see exactly how much energy it had cost her. Our perfect day had become a damage control exercise, and she'd shouldered most of that burden without complaint. I couldn't sleep. I sat in the kitchen with coffee, staring at my laptop screen for about an hour before I made the decision. I logged into our shared checking account and hit the freeze button. No dramatic speech, no warning text, no manifesto posted to social media. Just click. At exactly 8:47 a.m. the next morning, yes, I checked the timestamp because I'm that kind of detail-oriented person, Alina's automatic tuition payment of $2,780 bounced. The university's automated system immediately sent her a payment failure notice and suspended her enrollment pending payment resolution. My phone started buzzing at 8:57 a.m. Mom first, then Alina, then Mom again, then Dad. I let every single call go to voicemail. It was our first official morning as married people, and I wasn't about to poison it with family drama and crisis management. Mom's first text came at 9:15. "David, what did you do to your sister?" She's crying and saying her tuition bounced? My reply? Nothing yet, which was completely true. Everything I was about to do was still in the planning stages. By lunch, I'd completed my exit strategy like I was following a military checklist. Phase 1. Insurance and credit. Removed her from my health insurance plan. Immediate savings of $268 per month that she'd never once offered to reimburse. Called the credit card company and removed her authorized user access. Effective immediately, card deactivated. Canceled all automatic payments covering her private student loan minimums. $340 per month. Phase 2. Housing and guarantees. Emailed the University Housing Office to formally revoke my guarantor status effective at the end of current lease term. Sent certified letters to 2 previous landlords, removing myself as emergency contact and financial backup. Phase 3. Account access changed passwords on the shared checking account. Removed her access and transfer privileges. Downloaded and saved every transaction record since 2021. I didn't post anything on social media. Didn't send passive-aggressive messages. Didn't announce my intentions to anyone. I just quietly stopped being her financial safety net. Dad called around 6 p.m. in his signature, "I'm not angry, I'm disappointed" tone of voice. "You're going to cost her the entire semester, maybe the whole academic year." "Good," I said. Long pause. I could hear him breathing. "You don't mean that, son." "I mean exactly that." He hung up without another word. Within 48 hours, cousins and extended family members I hadn't heard from in months started reaching out. The messages followed the exact same script. "Hey bro, long time no talk. Hope you're doing well." Followed immediately by, "So I heard there's some family drama going on. You know how Alina is, but you're the stable one in the family. And we're all counting on you to be the bigger person here. Family is everything, right?" Translation. "Get back under the car and hold up the transmission while we all pretend to drive." My cousin Jessica, who I maybe see twice a year, actually called me directly. "David, I know she can be a lot, but she's family, and she's really struggling right now. Mom said you froze some account." "I stopped paying for her life," I corrected. "But you've always been so good to her." "What changed?" "She threw food at me at my wedding." "Oh." Long pause. "Well, that's not good. But you know how she gets when she's stressed." I hung up. Mom decided to escalate by going around me entirely. She slid into Jules's DMs on Instagram with this message that we read together while brushing our teeth. "Hi, honey. I hope you're enjoying being a newlywed. I wanted to reach out because I'm worried about David. He's being very controlling about money and cutting off family, and I just want you to watch for warning signs. Sometimes financial abuse starts small. I'm here if you need someone to talk to. XOYNO." We laughed until I almost choked on toothpaste. The woman who raised a daughter who throws food at weddings was lecturing my wife about healthy relationship dynamics. I texted Mom back, "If Alina apologizes to Jules directly and publicly, I'll consider having a conversation about the situation." Radio silence for 3 days. Alina doesn't do apologies. She does manipulation, guilt trips, strategic victimhood, and emotional blackmail, but never actual accountability or genuine remorse. Instead of apologizing, Alina decided to take the fight public on social media. She posted this carefully staged mirror selfie from some upscale cocktail lounge downtown. Perfect lighting, professional-level makeup, holding an expensive-looking drink. The caption was a masterpiece of passive-aggressive manipulation. Some people are amazing at pretending to be good, generous family members. Guess I learned from the best. When someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Family first. Truth teller. Authentic life. Blessed. She tagged me directly. The post got about 200 likes and maybe 30 comments, mostly from people who had no idea what she was talking about, but felt obligated to send supportive emojis. A few people asked if she was okay. She replied with vague statements about toxic family dynamics and setting boundaries. I didn't take the bait. I didn't respond, didn't comment, didn't even like or unlike the post. Instead, I did something much more effective. Remember that scholarship application I'd helped her with last year? The prestigious one where I wrote a detailed character reference letter praising her leadership skills and community involvement? I'd spent hours crafting that letter, highlighting her volunteer work, which I'd helped arrange, and her academic potential, which I'd supported financially. I contacted the scholarship board and formally withdrew my endorsement. I attached the university's enrollment suspension notice, a brief timeline of recent events, and screenshots of her social media posts. I didn't embellish or exaggerate, just presented the facts and let them draw their own conclusions. They asked exactly 2 follow-up questions. Has she been formally charged with assault? No, not yet. Do you believe she represents the values of this scholarship program? No, I do not. By 4 p.m. that same day, Alina was officially removed from the scholarship roster. That's $5,000 per semester she'd been counting on for the next 2 years. She called me 3 times in rapid succession. I answered the third call. Can you please unfreeze the account so I can fix the enrollment situation? I'll post a clarification about the wedding thing for optics. She said optics, like this was some kind of public relations crisis instead of the natural consequences of her deliberate choices. There's nothing you can give me that would make this right, I told her calmly. Come on, David. You can't be serious about this. I'm your sister. That used to mean something before you decided to humiliate my wife at our wedding. I didn't even throw it at her. I threw it at you. Oh, well, that makes it completely fine then. I hung up. She called back immediately. I sent it to voicemail. By the end of that week, Alina was officially out of campus housing. Turns out co-signed accommodations are directly tied to active enrollment status, and suspended students have exactly 14 days to vacate university property. Mom sent me a photo that was clearly meant to make me feel guilty. Alina sitting on some friend's couch, surrounded by trash bags and hastily packed boxes. She looked smaller and more pathetic than I'd ever seen her. But here's what really got to me. In the corner of the photo, I could see a moving box with my handwriting from her last apartment transition. Kitchen cables and adapters, in my neat block letters. I had spent an entire weekend last fall helping her move, labeling every box, making sure she had everything organized and easily accessible. That's when I fully realized what I'd been doing for years. I hadn't been helping my sister become an adult. I'd been running a one-man moving company, accounting firm, crisis management service, and bailout operation called David Fixes Everything Inc. The phone calls from extended family intensified. Apparently, Alina had been calling everyone with a sob story about her abusive brother who abandoned her in her time of need. The narrative was that I was financially controlling and had cut her off over one little mistake at the wedding. My aunt called crying. My grandmother sent a handwritten letter about the importance of family forgiveness. 2 of my cousins showed up at my workplace to talk sense into me. I started carrying a simple response. Would you throw food at someone at their wedding? The answer was always no. Then you understand why this is a problem. Most people dropped it after that. Dad's text came on a Sunday night while Jules and I were watching a movie. Do you want a relationship with your family or not? Because this path you're on leads to losing all of us. That message hit different because it was honest. No manipulation, no guilt trip, no emotional blackmail. Just a straight question about priorities and consequences. I thought about it all night, lying awake next to Jules. I realized they weren't actually asking for reconciliation or genuine resolution. They wanted a reset. Back to the old system where I paid for everything, fixed every problem, and absorbed all the chaos while they continued making the same destructive choices over and over. My response the next morning, not like this. Dad didn't reply. We had dinner with Jules's parents that Tuesday. No drama, just homemade spaghetti and honest conversation. Her dad is this quiet, thoughtful guy who builds custom cabinets and drops occasional verbal bombs that cut straight to the truth. Sounds like you've been the floor in that house for a long time, he said while twirling pasta. Floors get walked on. Eventually they wear out. Then he asked the question that nobody else had. What do you actually want to happen now? My answer surprised me. I want to stop being responsible for everyone else's choices. Boundaries aren't revenge. They're just boundaries. Jules' mom nodded like this made perfect sense. You can't save people from themselves, honey. You can only save yourself. For documentation purposes, because I'm obsessive about record keeping, I spent that evening building a comprehensive spreadsheet. Every transaction, every payment, every emergency I'd covered since 2021. Bank screenshots, text message confirmations, email receipts, everything. The total was staggering, $18,940 over less than 2 years. I exported it to a clean PDF with dates, amounts, and brief descriptions. Then I dropped it in the family group chat with exactly one message. For anyone saying I'm being extreme or unfair, here's the actual financial ledger. Then I muted the entire thread. The silence lasted exactly 2 days. The emergency text from Alina came Thursday morning. Housing says I have to be completely out by Friday afternoon. David, please fix this. I have nowhere to go. I didn't respond. She escalated by posting an Instagram story that tagged one of Jules's bridesmaids. Some cryptic message about fake friends and social climbers who turn families against each other. The implication was clear. Jules was somehow manipulating me against my own family. That crossed the line. When you can't hit your target directly, you try to hurt their spouse. Classic manipulation tactic, and I wasn't having it. Time for phase 2 of my response plan. I'm not a movie revenge guy. I don't do elaborate schemes or public humiliation campaigns. I prefer documentation, legal processes, and institutional accountability. They're cleaner, more permanent, and harder to dismiss or manipulate. First call, the wedding venue. I asked if they had security footage from the previous Saturday. They did. The marinara plate incident was captured perfectly from two different angles. Full arc, clear intent, obvious property damage to my clothing and their tablecloth. The venue manager was incredibly helpful. Apparently, food-throwing incidents are more common than you'd think, and they take them seriously for insurance and liability reasons. He emailed me the relevant clips within 2 hours. Second call, local police non-emergency line. I filed a formal report for assault and property damage. The officer who took the report was professional and thorough. He'd seen the venue footage and confirmed it met the legal definition of simple assault. "You want to press charges?" he asked. "I want it documented officially. I'll decide about charges later." Third step, the certified letter. I drafted a formal document with two clear options for resolution. Option A, reconciliation path. Alina posts a written apology to Jules on her main social media accounts. No cryptic language, no "if I hurt anyone" qualified nonsense. Keeps it posted for minimum 30 days and signs a notarized repayment agreement for $12,000, the non-emergency portion of financial support I'd provided, at $250 per month. Zero interest as long as payments arrive on time. Miss 2 payments and the full balance becomes immediately due. Option B, legal path. We proceed with assault charges and I pursue full damages in small claims court for clothing replacement, venue cleaning fees, and related expenses. While I was handling the main situation, I also cleaned up several other loose ends. The car situation. I'd co-signed for a little Nissan Sentra after she totaled her previous vehicle in an uninsured accident. She was already 27 days late on the current payment. I paid the difference to bring it current, then sent a formal notice of termination of permission to operate vehicle. This is a real legal document, and scheduled a voluntary repossession through the lender. The car was picked up the following Tuesday. Her credit took the hit. Mine was protected by the early intervention. The phone plan. I removed her line from our family plan, effective immediately. That saved me $65 per month plus constant overage charges for data and international texting. She found out when her phone service died mid-Instagram story. She called from her friend's phone screaming about it. I calmly explained that phone service costs money, and people who assault family members at weddings don't get to have their bills paid by their victims. The laptop recovery. That MacBook Pro she'd borrowed for classes last year? I bought it with my own money. It was registered in my name, and I'd enrolled it in my company's mobile device management system, Tech Industry Perk. One-click activated Lost Mode, which locked the device and displayed my contact information. I drove to her friend's apartment and picked it up myself. She screamed about it being her computer and threatened to call the police. I showed her the receipt with my name on it and the original packaging with my address. The friend told her to give it back. With the $1,500 I would have inevitably spent cleaning up her next crisis, I booked Jules and me a long weekend in Nashville. We went line dancing, ate ridiculously good barbecue, listened to live music, and nobody threw food at anyone. It was amazing. The family pressure campaign reached peak intensity within 48 hours. It was like watching a very sad, very predictable play. Act 1. Mom led with pure emotional manipulation. "Please, David, just unfreeze the account temporarily so she can fix the school situation. She's learned her lesson." "What lesson has she learned?" I asked. That you're serious about boundaries? That's not the lesson she needs to learn. Act 2. Dad tried the practical, logical approach. "You've made your point clearly. Don't destroy her future over one moment of bad judgment." "Her future isn't my responsibility," I replied. "Her choices are destroying her future. I'm just not preventing the natural consequences anymore." Act 3. The extended family guilt chorus. Cousins, aunts, uncles, even my 89-year-old grandmother calling to remind me about the importance of forgiveness and family loyalty. "Would you throw food at someone at their wedding?" became my standard response. "Well, no, but then you understand the problem." The finale. Alina sent me a text message novel, a 47-message thread that took me 10 minutes to read completely. The greatest hits included, "You'll regret this when I'm successful and you need my help." "Jules is obviously a gold digger who turned you against your family. I was just having an emotional moment at the wedding and you're overreacting. Everyone thinks you're being cruel and controlling. This isn't who you really are. Mom is crying every day because of what you're doing." I waited exactly 24 hours before responding with 7 words, option A or option B. 48 hours remaining. I attached the best still frame from the security video, her mid-throw, marinara sauce in flight, me standing there in shock. At hour 46 of my 48-hour deadline, My entire family convoy showed up in my workplace parking lot. I was loading equipment into my truck when I saw them approaching. Mom, Dad, and Alina walking across the asphalt, like some kind of intervention squad. Alina looked completely different. No makeup, oversized hoodie, hair in a messy ponytail, exhausted eyes that had lost their usual calculating gleam. She looked smaller, younger, and genuinely scared for maybe the first time in her adult life. "Hi," she said quietly. "Option A or option B," I replied. "You have 2 hours." I dot. She started crying. Not the performative tears she usually deployed for maximum manipulation, but actual tears that she was trying to hide. "I'm sorry." "Sorry to who?" "To you. And to Jules." "For what specifically?" "For ruining your wedding. For throwing food at you. For being dot dot dot." She paused, searching for words. "For being awful." This was the first time in my adult life that I'd heard Alina take actual responsibility without qualifiers or excuses. "The apology goes to Jules," I told her. "Written, posted publicly, no edits, comments enabled so people can respond." She nodded and wiped her nose on her sleeve. I handed her the printed repayment agreement. When she saw the $12,000 total, the crying intensified. "I don't have this kind of money," she whispered. "I know. That's why it's a payment plan." Mom tried to jump in. "David, surely we can negotiate the amount down. $12,000 is—" I pulled out my phone and showed her the spreadsheet totals again. "This is less than 2/3 of what I actually paid. I'm excluding medical emergencies and legitimate car repairs." Dad put his hand on the hood of my truck and said the smartest thing I'd heard from him in months. "Just sign it, Alina." We got it notarized at the shipping store in the strip mall next to my office. The notary was this elderly woman who'd probably seen every kind of family drama imaginable. She checked Alina's ID, confirmed she understood the terms, and made it official. Alina posted the apology that evening. She included a photo of herself that showed exactly how wrecked she looked. Puffy eyes, no makeup, sitting on what was obviously someone's couch. The caption was simple and direct. "I humiliated my brother and disrespected his wife at their wedding by throwing food at him. This was wrong, cruel, and inexcusable. I am truly sorry to Jules and David. I will be making this right through my actions, not just my words." The comments section was brutal. Friends, acquaintances, and random followers roasted her thoroughly. People posted crying, laughing emojis, asked if she was serious, shared their own stories about wedding disasters. A few people defended her with generic, "everyone makes mistakes" comments, but they were heavily outnumbered. I didn't pile on or contribute to the comment thread. I just sent Jules a heart emoji and saved a screenshot for my records. Update, 6 months later. Will Alina make every monthly payment for the next 4 years? Honestly, probably not. But here's what actually matters. The safety net is gone permanently. The floor developed teeth. And when they all came begging for a return to the old system, I didn't resort to dramatic gestures or movie-style revenge. I used boring adult processes and legal mechanisms that bite harder and last longer than any screaming match. Alina's current situation: re-enrolled for spring semester, using federal aid only. No family money, no private loans I'm backing. Working full-time at 2 different restaurants to cover basic living expenses. Living with 3 roommates in an apartment complex that hasn't been updated since the Clinton administration. Posts significantly less on social media these days. Has made 4 payments on schedule so far, $250 each month. Still hasn't directly apologized to Jules in person, but the public post satisfied the legal requirement. Family dynamics update. Mom still sends occasional guilt trip texts, but they bounce off me now like water off a duck. Dad and I have resumed a decent relationship, as long as nobody mentions money or Alina's situation. Extended family has mostly stopped trying to mediate or convince me to be the bigger person. Holiday gatherings are quieter, but significantly less stressful. The wedding video footage still makes me laugh when I watch it. You can see the exact moment my face transitions from confusion to shock to resignation. Jules later said she knew right then that I was finally done being the family ATM.